one thing that I did want to ask you about, and this is more about community building and kind of person-to-person support, specifically within the manosphere, or with building up masculine relationships, because it seems like you're involved in doing some of that. And I wanted to have you on specifically to talk more about the need for men to be men, or to form some sort of community. Why is that a need, and what have you been doing, and kind of like what is it to be a man, and how have we lost that? How can we get that back, or get back to that?
Sure. So, brief history on me. Yeah, I definitely came up through Twitternet. That's a new word. A Twitter subculture called the Manosphere. It actually started back on blogs and forums near the end of the first decade in the 2000s. That was my first experience with blogs and independent media and social media, etc. And because I was coming out of divorce right at that time, I was looking for the kind of content of just like, how do I become a better man? How do I get better with women? How can I improve my relationships? And so that's where I began my sort of online life. But you can't stay in the manosphere forever. It's a temporary station, right? You get there and then you evolve, because you realize at the end of the day, the whole manosphere concept about like how do you get better relationships, it's really about self-improvement. It's really just about becoming a better man. And you start talking about hypergamy or hypergamy or whatever, and this idea, which I agree with, that women tend to want to marry either laterally or up. So how do you get a better woman? There's no trick, guys. It's just become a better man, right? Become more successful, more stable, more attractive, stronger, fitter, more confident, etc. And so you quickly, if you have any sense about you, really, you sort of evolve out of that manosphere sort of ghetto, another term there, and evolve into just general self-improvement and like, how do you make your life better, right? Mm-hmm. How do you become a better person? And once you nail down having a great relationship, well, first, once you nail down yourself, and then you can nail down having a great relationship and a great family, well, then you can start thinking about community, right? These concentric circles of care should definitely start focus on yourself, your family, then your community, and maybe the nation. Mm-hmm. But what we've seen in this ever intensifying attack on, from feminism. Feminism, of course, is part of the root philosophical background of critical race theory. The queering and the blurring of lines and the ending of boundaries and the erasure of the individual and the blank slate theories that all come along with that. And so the arsenal in the feminist attack to queer and to blur all the boundaries and make everybody the same is to denigrate masculinity and to make women actually more like men, which is the weirdest irony of the whole thing. And so they have to attack masculinity. They have to attack men, and they have to, in their eyes, right? It's another power struggle, right? So critical race theory talks about white oppressive systems. Well, feminist theory talks about male oppressive systems, and all societies have been patriarchal, and all patriarchal societies are oppressive, et cetera, et cetera. So in order to free women, we need to end the male patriarchy. What is the source of the power of male patriarchy? It's masculine power. Masculine energy is the source of the patriarchy. So how do we get rid of the patriarchy? We go right to the source, masculine energy. So how do we break and destroy masculine energy? Well, you socialize people against behaving in a masculine way. You ridicule people who do engage in masculine behavior. You take away the advantages of being masculine. You pile on the consequences of being masculine. You eliminate male spaces where they can get together and share, right?
Such as what?
Share, what do you share?
No. Could you give an example of a male space that has been broken apart or kind of dissolved?
I mean, the Boy Scouts is a great example.
Okay.
The Boy Scouts no longer exist. They're BSA, and they are required to admit girls. While at the same time, Girl Scouts of America has in its freaking front page says, basically, no boys allowed, just for girls, because science shows that when kids do experiences and education together with their same gender, mm-hmm. it has greater benefits. Mm-hmm. So again, this conflicting science and logic and stuff, right? Yeah. So all girl spaces, great. All boy spaces, bad, right? And you see this breaking away. You can't have country clubs. You can't. Fraternal organizations are looked down upon. there is a systematic approach to disconnect men and to shame them away from even discussing matters that relate to masculinity or being a man. If you even are interested in improving yourself or want to date a better quality of woman or whatever, you're an incel, you're a loser, you didn't learn this, whatever. There's all kinds of slurs against just wanting to become a better person or a better father, or a better partner, better husband. So it's the philosophical framework here is the patriarchy is fueled by male power. How do we eliminate male power? Now, at the same time, whether through malintent or happenstance, we've also seen steady decline in group testosterone levels over decades. Male grip strength, which is an indicator of group strength, right? That has been declining over time. Male fertility is down. So at the same time, and again, totally happenstance, maybe. I don't know the cause, but it is happening at the same time. These biological factors are declining. Testosterone actually declining among the male population, combined with the social attack on masculinity and the denigration of being masculine and the complete absence of strong male leaders in media and such and film and art and everything today. It creates an environment in which we're not only not fostering growth of masculine energy within boys, but we're discouraging it and diminishing it. And it's to the point now where the APA, the largest mental health professional organization in America, came out a year or two ago with a whole long study about how competitiveness, risk-taking, and aggression are toxic elements of boys that need to be counseled out of them or even medicated out of them. And hell, who knows what the next step is from that. In fact, any of the crazy ideas that we had in 2010 in the back corners of the internet talking about men's stuff, they've all come true. What was a tinfoil hat kind of thing in 2010, which I was reluctant to believe, it's all here writ large. And it was the Kavanaugh hearings a couple of years ago, where they were using the language of radical feminism, believe all women, blah, 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 where it was in the highest levels of our government and used as actual arguments to try to change the face of the Supreme Court, which has huge impact, obviously. So it was then in 2008, I was like, man, it's real. And you just kind of have to accept it. And so if you talk to men, which I do, not only do I have 80,000 guys on Twitter I talk to, thousands of people on the mailing list, hundreds of guys in the LO. I interview each new guy coming into the Liminal Order, which I guess we'll probably talk about later. So I'm hearing these personal stories from all these guys. They feel disconnected. They feel isolated. They feel confused. They feel like they don't have proper role models. Their education was outsourced to a school system that may have been trustworthy at first, but now it's certainly not. They're conditioned to behave like girls in school, not like boys. We shape the school environment to suit a girl's type of behavior when they're young, not boy type behavior. And so, they feel isolated. They feel alone. They feel confused. They feel like there's no leaders. There's no role models. There's no direction. They're adrift, and they feel like they're under siege. And they are. And all the markers show it. And it's, of course, in the face of all the statistics that show that girls have almost every advantage given them today. Girls perform better in primary school. Girls perform better in middle and high school. Girls graduate high school at a higher rate. Girls get apply to and accepted to college at a higher rate. More girls graduate from college. Women make more money in 148 out of 150 top metropolitan cities across the United States than men, entry level. Period. Fact. Report it, but nobody talks about it. Then they go on to actually hold more managerial and professional positions than men overall. They live longer. They suffer less from alcoholism, suicide, depression. And at the end of the day, women die controlling more wealth than men. From cradle to grave, women are outperforming men on every meaningful statistical marker. Yet, it's all of the proactive policies are all about how do we help girls? How do we help girls? How do we help girls? And then all of the negative policies are about how do we break down boys' spaces? How do we make it so that they're less, cohesive? How do we eliminate the ability for them to get together and talk? And this was one of the secrets of the Manosphere and why people hated it and still do, is because they had isolated us. They had begun to break us down, and then the internet happened, and then social media happened. And guess what? We found each other. Men found each other and began to share notes. Well, this was my experience. What was yours? Well, this was my experience. What was yours? Oh, that's funny. I'm seeing commonalities here. Well, maybe we can change our behavior to overcome these obstacles. And that is the true source of the ire that is directed at the Manosphere, is that they're figuring things out. And they're figuring out the lies. They're figuring out the system that's rigged against them. And they're trying to get better. And that conflicts with feminism and feminine power, because feminine power actually is based on cunning and guile, not to offend any of our women out there. But as we evolved, men's power was like a smash you over the head, right? Women's power was, how do I get this man to smash this other guy over the head, right? Or, some variation of that. So women evolved to be smart and in manipulating and use emotion and to use men as proxies for their own power to achieve things that they wanted. And so anything that pulls back the curtain on feminine behavior is going to be seen as an evil thing that needs to be squashed and put away out of instinct, out of like evolutionary instinct for women. Because if we catch on to the manipulation, and trust me, I love women and I believe in femininity, and I don't fault any woman for seeking power in this capacity. It's logical. It makes perfect sense. We're bigger and stronger and more violent, and they're softer and sweeter and more and easily broken. So of course, if they're going to utilize power, they should get men to do what they want. So it's just sort of built into the system. And again, that's also what drove the development of civilization, men wanting to please women and build things and impress them and demonstrate their power and their status and stuff to attract a mate. So I don't fault anybody for any of this. It's natural, man. It's biology. It's evolution. But here we are, crisis, a hidden crisis. There are some authors who have written about it, and some women who have written about it. Christina Sommers, Hoff Sommers is one that comes to mind right away, and Camille Paglia, love her. They've identified that it's actually a boy crisis, not a girl crisis, and now guys are figuring out how to solve these problems. And one of the things that I've discovered personally, and then now, through my work, is that community, brotherhood. Yeah. Brotherhood is invaluable. Brotherhood is magic. Brotherhood gives birth to things like accountability. Brotherhood gives birth to things like loyalty. Brotherhood gives birth to community. And what happens in community? Science shows us that people in communities are healthier, wealthier, and happier. Science studies. We're communal animals. We're designed to run in tribes. We're designed to run in small groups. We're designed to benefit by helping each other. That's what a community is. And brotherhood, friendship, community with other men, it gives birth. And what I like most about it is it gives birth to accountability, right? And accountability within a community isn't about some guy standing there like whipping you saying, hey man, did you work out today? No, it's the relationship that you form creates a positive peer pressure where you don't want to fail. You don't want to look weak. You don't want to look like a screw up in front of other men that you respect. And if you are a man of honor, a characteristic of masculinity, if you're a man of honor, then your word means something. And so if you're conducting yourself in an honorable way within a male community, there's built-in accountability there. Mm-hmm. Because the best parts about community is that it's a group of people who you don't want to let down, and they don't want to let you fall down, right? It's a beautiful thing. And that all comes through relationships, and it comes through brotherhood. And so that's why brotherhood, masculinity and brotherhood and sovereignty are like the three most important values in my life right now. And I can use them to guide me in the right direction for all of my actions, my behaviors with my family and in my community and everything. And so we've organized a group, a men's, basically it's like a fraternity combined with an academy, combined with being a startup. There's all kinds of things happening, but our 3 core values are masculinity, brotherhood, and sovereignty. And everything we've been talking about just now is part of the impetus for creating this organization.